and welcome to the Reign of Books. Reign as in the rule of books, not the weather. I'm Josh, and today I'm reviewing a really good survival tale. It's called Devolution, a first-hand account of the Rainier Sasquatch Massacre. It was written by zombie master Max Brooks. If that name sounds familiar, it should if you're a zombie fan, because World War Z was one of the most acclaimed tales in that genre of the past decade. He added oodles of sophistication to the zombie genre. So in this tale, Devolution, we're talking Bigfoot. So no zombies, but still something super big, super horrific, and super hard to win against. So this book, 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's a story about survival, not just the horrors that tear down the world. It's about making a gut check and figuring out whether you will fold or fight when society crumbles. You have the Mount Rainier volcano blow up. Tacoma, Seattle are in really bad shape. Riots, mudslides. The tale's structured similarly to World War Z, which is told through eyewitness accounts of that global war. But Devolution is on a much smaller scale, and it centers on a recovered journal of one of the characters who lived through the horror of being trapped in the Washington wilderness with something that's usually resigned to crackpot theories like UFOs and other fringe theories. So a small eco-community has to face off against something that turns out not to just to be folklore. And surviving the winter is not even a consideration if they can't get past this first band of hungry, brutal giants that terrorizes them. And this boogeyman becomes very real all too soon, and this community either has to pull together or die individually. And it's truly terrifying what they go through. The story is all muscle. There's no fat. So there's a couple that arrives at this newly established eco-community off the beaten path. Then there's the introduction of the founders and the, I think, 6 or 7 other inhabitants and how they're trying to create a new sustainable American way of life, the huge volcano disaster, and then a slow, horrifying realization that the wilderness is bigger and darker than they ever imagined. So I love how the story sets the stage with basically an indictment on society, with how it's willfully destructive of the planet so that people can simply maintain their lifestyles. It's not preachy, but it basically just establishes how we got to our modern society and how it's not sustainable. So the Green Revolution promises a modern solution that delivers both comfort and sustainability. Americans can't live without their comfort while committing to sustainability, so it's kind of a trade-off. But we soon find out that basically that's a moot point, because they're trying to make nature adapt to them rather than adapt to nature. And there's no middle ground. You have to adapt or die. The book asks the reader to decide if the journal that's found is part of a large-scale hoax or the most detailed account ever recorded of Bigfoot. And it's an animal that's usually dismissed in legend and folklore, like I said, but basically it becomes very real really fast. And this journal is pretty convincing. But then the author does something even bolder, and it asks you to invest in these survivors, basically, which you don't find them. You just find the account of the massacre, and then you have to invest in them without even really knowing if they survive at the end. But without spoilers, there's a reason for this, which I found out at the end, and Brooks brings it home full force with a very satisfying conclusion that, I think it feels real, and it feels like authentic and built into like this tale where basically there's a lot of collateral damage, and you really can't say people lived or died, right? There's many interludes in the story about the recorded behavior of primates in the animal kingdom, and this lends a lot of credibility and creepiness to the horrors that play out. This book immerses you if you let it, and it serves as part cautionary tale, part survival guide, and part character study on society and what we individually are really made of. Do you have the fight or flight mentality? If push comes to shove, what will you be made of? What can you do in face of adversity? I highly recommend it, especially to fans of Brooks' other survival work and for those who want to make that gut check. So that's the spoiler-free part of this review. Now, on to the spoilers. You've been warned. So Brooks sets his book with a narrative arc that's creepy, with a lot of foreshadowing. Those interludes I mentioned earlier where experts describe certain animal behavior, well, there's one that gives you a description of chimpanzees hunting in packs and disemboweling smaller primates. It's truly gruesome, and it lets you know what's coming. Because in this small band of 11 Homo sapiens versus about 11 Sasquatches, you do the math. Brooks knows how to introduce the horror in slow little drips. I remember the first encounter that Kate, the protagonist, has with Bigfoot. They don't know it's real at this point, and you literally are like, well, you know what? It's all just in my imagination. There's a bunch of ash falling down. So they're stressed out, they're sleep deprived, nothing works, no Wi-Fi, but she encounters it in the middle of the road. She thinks it's a boulder, and then it moves, and then it lengthens, and then it runs and hides in the trees, and it grows limbs, and she's blinking the ash out of her eyes, freaking out. Then fast forward some truly terrifying, tense showdowns when there's no longer any doubt that these creatures exist. The Sasquatches mangle one human in order to draw out the others, but when it fails, they in horrific fashion dismember, tear apart the man while he's still alive, screaming in his death throes. One of the monster's key tactics, rocks as artillery. The houses take a beating when cantaloupe-sized rocks shatter the mostly glass walls of the homes, exposing the humans even more. And then the alpha. The alpha turns out to be a female, a monster behemoth, gruesomely scarred and relentless in her pursuit of her prey. All the other Sasquatches show absolute deference to her, and when she kills the community's founders, it's a squeamish scene that strikes a primal fear in the reader. So Kate claims her own status as the alpha of the human survivors when, while trapped in a bathroom close to imminent death, she goes all out. She goes into instinct mode. She wraps a towel around her hand, lights it on fire just as the alpha Sasquatch shatters the bathroom door to make Kate her next snack. Kate punches her right in the mouth, fist straight through the beast's mouth for a barbecue surprise. That's right, it lights the Sasquatch's mouth on fire and singes her fur, burns her flesh. Truly badass. At the same time this is happening, the humans use what was once a weakness with the glass exteriors to create a minefield of shattered, sharp-edged glass to slow down the predators from getting inside. It almost works. But one of the bravest characters doesn't survive the one-on-one showdown with the beast who makes it inside. Mostar is a previous survivor of ethnic cleansing in Bosnia, so she's a real hardcore, war-torn, battle-tested woman, and she's the one who perceives the threat right away. She's the catalyst to get these Americans to act early once she understands there's something stalking them, something unnatural or really unknown that's not normal. At her end, she draws the beast in and stakes it through the heart in a last woman standing showdown, but the weight of the beast lunging toward her, smashes her and its death throes. There's a lot of tactical play that takes place throughout the third act, and it's absolutely delicious. The final showdown with the community is screen-worthy, and it plays out in vivid Technicolor ultra-violence. There's only a few of them left, and Kate embraces her leadership role, and the group makes an Alamo-type last stand, where the humans finally unleash their killer inner instinct and bring to bear everything they have in their arsenal of homemade weapons and traps. It's a gambit to outlast the bigger, stronger tribe in their native environment. It's bitter to see the humans fall one by one in this battle of attrition, but there's the knowledge that this really is the only way. It's truly a contest of survival in the basest sense. Kill or be killed. Kate's boyfriend is gruesomely stomped to death by Alpha after his melee attack with his custom coconut knife misses her heart. He almost gets her, almost. But Kate hurls herself at the beast in the very next heartbeat. This is war. There's no time, there's no lulls in this battle of kill or be killed. Using her aluminum-covered shield to distract the monster, she drives the Damascus blade through skin and muscle, heart and lungs. It finishes off the matriarch and solidifies victory for the humans. All 2 of them. That's right, only 2 get out alive. In the epilogue, Brooks plants the seed of an idea in your head. We don't actually know if Kate and her surrogate daughter Palomino survived the winter that followed after this truly horrifying traumatic experience. Of course, we only know Kate's recovered journal and what it tells us, but the narrator suggests theories. The best theory, the most interesting, that some primal instinct took Kate over, and she made it her mission to become a predator herself and hunt down the remaining Sasquatches. She didn't want these horrors to ever come back, and she said we have to kill them all. So yeah, somewhere in the wild, she's a stone-cold killer of Bigfoot. It's a chillingly good ending that fits this tale of survival. So if you like zombies or Bigfoots, Max Brooks, this book is for you. I give it 4.5 out of 5 stars, which makes it round up to 5 stars. It's tight. It's, like I said, all muscle, no fat. So if you're interested, check it out.